would see, and you think, wow, there's not anything that gets missed nowadays. And I think that's, from our point of view as referees, we are scrutinised even more. Like I said, with that evaluation system, that's come a long way. It used to be, like you say, an evaluator in the stands used to sit and watch the game and kind of mark it as they go and give you a score at the end of it. But now every decision is analysed. I don't think there's any other job in the world where you get assessed on every decision you make in a game. But I think, so that's increased a lot. But I think that comes with the better camera footage as well. So, yeah. Everything.
Constantly adapting, constantly changing. Yeah. You've got to stay on top of it. Well, Sian, you definitely get 5 points. That was a brilliant answer for all that. So you're off the mark, which is great. Have you ever had an absolute nightmare, like just day at work? Have you ever rocked up anywhere, like even to the point where you're like, I haven't bought my boots. Like, yes. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I definitely did that once. Thank God it was a youth game in Coventry. I remember getting there, getting all my kit out, getting in the change room and being like, oh my goodness, I forgot my boots.
There's a moment, isn't there, where you're like, no.
And I was like, what do I do? What am I actually going to do? We're kicking off in 25 minutes and I've got no football boots. And I went out. Dad has been with me at every step of the way. My dad has been to pretty much every game, my biggest supporter, biggest critic, but biggest supporter. So I went outside to him and I was like, Dad, I haven't got my football boots. Sorry, it's all right, just borrow one of the lads' football boots. Somebody will have a pair of spare. Dad, I'm a 4.5. That's not going to work. If you can find me a pair of 4.5 football boots in 2 teams, like dressing rooms, you go for it. I said, but it's not going to happen, is it? I was like, you're going to have to go all the way home, just make it for kickoff. So I didn't do a warm up or anything. I definitely check my kit bag nowadays. Definitely. 3
Dads are amazing, aren't they? Dads are just the best for that type of thing. But now also you are married and to also, you're keeping it in the family here because you're also married to a match official.
Yes.
I mean, when you watch football and you're just at home and perhaps you're not working, can you ever just sit on the couch and watch football? Or do you always look at it and go, I wouldn't have done that. Oh, I'm not sure about that. Like, do you have that type of chat?
No, and then we argue over referee decisions when we're watching football. It's horrendous. So, like, I'll be like, that's offside. And he's like, no, it's not. This player, watch, let's look at the replay. And, and he'll be like, oh, okay, you were right. And then, because he's like a referee now and I'm an assistant, so we have split up. Because we're separated on that, it's a little bit easier. But we both used to referee on Conference North and South at the same time. So that when the bandings came out of the merit table positions, it was like, who's in front, who's going to get promoted this year? That kind of, it was a bit competitive, that was. But actually the rest of my family also think that I've ruined football because they can't watch a game now without watching the referees because they know so much about what I say about, or they'll go in this position or they'll do this. Or there's lots of little gestures that no one outside of refereeing would think about. And it's like, you'll know when they're having a conversation or, because like, I think the outside world will think, oh, the referees gave that penalty. And as a referee or an assistant referee, you sat there thinking, I know that's come from the lino. It hasn't come from the referee. You can kind of tell by the process, and my brother-in-law will sit there now and he's a big football fan, like he wants to watch every game that's on TV. And he's like, you've ruined it because now I'm thinking that should have been a penalty and not anything to do with, what the score is or who's the best player I've ruined football with them apparently.
Oh, that's so funny. I love hearing stories like this. Brilliant. What would you say has been your biggest challenge being a female match official?
The fitness really is the biggest thing for me. I have to work really, really hard. And everyone thinks, like you must get loads of grief, but I don't really, because I'm so concentrated with my communication, focusing on decisions. What goes on in the background is just a blur. People expect me to say that as a challenge, but I don't see it as that. I think fitness for me is a really big thing. I have to work really hard, to be as fit as the lads and to be as fit as the players on the pitch, to be as fast as them. If I'm not in the right position to make an offside decision, if I'm not level with the last defender, most times I would get it wrong. So for me, that's like quite a big thing. Coming through, there was the odd challenge, which I find just funny. Really, I remember going to, I think it might have been a supply league ground. It's definitely kind of grassroots-ish. Kind of got to the door of the changing rooms into the tunnel area and it's like, no ladies past this point. And you kind of get there and you think, well, that doesn't apply to me because
that doesn't work for me and I'm coming right through.
I'm through anyway. So there's little challenges like that, but I don't really think of them as challenges. I think that's just the way things were, like women weren't allowed in boardrooms back years and years ago. But then when they've got a match official who they always invite into the boardroom for a cup of tea before a game, they kind of then rules have to go out the window. So I think that, but no one's ever said to me, oh no, you can't come in here. Like being really forceful and not let me do it. I've never had that. I know some girls, might have had that. But I've been really lucky, I think. I've never had to have that as a challenge, really.
You always make the decisions, I'm sure, that you see in front of you, and you have the help in your ears. You're talking to the referees and stuff as well. But if there is a decision that perhaps does turn out to be incorrect, do you dwell on it, or are you somebody that could just move past?
Yeah, definitely. Like after the game, I want to see pictures of it. I want to see videos of it. I want to see why I got it wrong. I always want to get everything right on the pitch, because I don't ever want a team to win or lose or draw because of my decision. And for me, that's a really big thing. I don't want to have an influence on that game. Positively, I want to get all my decisions right. I don't want anybody to have been cost a game because of a decision that I've made. And don't get me wrong, like I do make mistakes, 100%. I'm human. Whether it be, okay, I've come to the right decision, but I've said the wrong thing to get to that decision. Even things like that, I definitely dwell on, especially, big decisions as well. I think people think, just referees turn up and they don't really care if they get things wrong. We definitely do. Kind of the only way I can think of it is if, a goalkeeper lets one through the palm of his hands. That's the way we feel, I think, when we make a mistake.
Yeah, it's never intentional, and you're just like, need to correct that for next time. And like you say, you go back and you're like, I need to be better. I need to know why. Okay, let's move on to our second game. Ooh. This is called The Wrong Answer is Right.
Okay.
And this game is quick thinking. You've got to adapt to your situation, and sometimes you're just plain blagging it. Okay, so some of this is relatable to your job in terms of quick thinking and adapting to your situation. Okay. So we're going to do 45 seconds on the clock, and all you have to do is answer with an incorrect answer.
Okay.
45 seconds on the clock in 3, 2, 1. In which sport did Gary Lineker compete in?
Cricket.
Which stadium do the Lions or the Lionesses play international fixtures?
Port Vale.
Name a racket sport.
Football.
How many players are in a five-a-side team?
1.
What do the letters GK stand for on a football team sheet?
Football boots.
Name an Olympic sport. Go on, anything.
TV.
How many match officials are assigned to each football game?
100.
And which sport is played at Wimbledon?
Hockey.
Yes, time is up. You're very calm under pressure, Sian.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, you are.
You naturally think of the right answer first and then have to talk it out.
Exactly. That's why it's so tough. I think people think, oh no, that's a really easy game. But you're like, no. 8, we're being told by our independent adjudicator, Adam, over here. That's good. Oh. Nice, solid score. You're very calm under pressure, I have to say. You think about things very methodically. I could tell. Well, look, let's move on to encouraging other females into this career path. Because what would you say to somebody who perhaps is quite potentially thought about it but not done it because they're quite intimidated by what they might find and the environment they might find themselves up in? How have you found the experience?
I think they should just give it a go. In my experience, there was very, very few times where I found that I was intimidated. And I think you have to be quite a strong character. And I think you have to, the way I always looked at things were, they're not saying things about me, they're saying things about my uniform. And I kind of think, when I'm dressed in my uniform, I'm just a woman or man in black, okay, maybe yellow or red sometimes, but, we're just a person in that uniform. We're not a person inside that as such. And that's kind of the way that I always think about it. I think that when you go onto that football pitch, you can be a different person, really, and you can put on, not a show, but, you have to be confident. You have to really try to make them right decisions. And I think that if anyone thinks, oh, I'm a bit worried about kind of getting shouted at, actually, you don't ever notice it, really. I think grassroots football, you might notice it a little bit more, which is why earlier I said that we need to kind of protect that environment at grassroots football to make sure that everybody is aware that the impact that they have on grassroots football can be, an impact for somebody, that may have stopped me at youth football. I didn't ever feel like I was intimidated that. I mean, I remember one time, one of the dads on the sideline was giving me some grief. And I just went over on a whistle and I went, if you think you can do a better job, there's the whistle. And he went, no, I didn't mean it like that. I said, well, stop now then. And just went off and carried on my game. And I think probably that took a little bit of strength inside me to kind of go, so a lot of the time you just ignore it and to fly off the wall kind of thing. But sometimes you come to a point where you think, no, I'm not ignoring that. I've got to stand up, because if somebody's on this pitch next week and they don't take this, that could be the end of a career of somebody who could have made it to the top. So I really kind of think to myself that I think I got to protect the image of the game so that others coming through find it a little bit easier. And I think that I would just say, give it a go, because you'll be surprised. People have this impression that, just referees get shouted at all the time, but actually they don't. They get praised a lot. I used to love coming off a game, especially at youth football or, your big cup finals, and somebody comes to me, players even, or managers or spectators, well done, ref. And that means such a huge amount to somebody. And you think, yeah, I did a good job today.
And to get into it, as you said, grassroots is the way to go. You started at under 11 sort of age, just refereeing. There are courses now, though, aren't there, that people can sign up for? And I suppose that gives you a taste of what it would be like.
Yeah, so it's a lot more the course now. You go through your local county association, local referees association, or the FA. There's links kind of everywhere for you to get into refereeing. And it's really course based. So they have lots of mentors now as well. So you'll be given a mentor for your first 5 games who you can talk to, who come and watch the games, can kind of say, well, do this differently or do this differently. But it's a support network mainly, more than helping you learn the laws of the game or that kind of thing. And I think that environment now can really help your youth or young referees. And I'm not saying you have to be young to be a referee when you start out, because lots of ex-players come start to be referees. And, there is more double jumps now, so you can go through the pyramid a little bit quicker than it was when I came through. Because if somebody's really showing potential, you can take a double jump. So I think that having that mentor scheme now that's in place and having the course run the way it is, you get to practice blowing a whistle, holding a flag. That's stuff that I never did get to practice really until I was thrown into my first game. And I think there's a lot more support out there than there used to be.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more opportunities now for women to get into this. And we briefly mentioned it earlier that your mate, Natalie Aspinall, has just been promoted into the English Football League. How proud of you?
Yeah,
how proud
really
are you that other people are coming through?
Yeah, I mean, she's a big friend of mine as well. So we, when we first got on the FIFA international list, I was actually too young when I was nominated at first, because you have to be 23. I was 21, and we were both nominated at that age to start with onto the FIFA list. And she's kind of always been there. We did my first under-20 Women's World Cup in Japan together. So we spent a month together. So she's a real close friend of mine. And she's worked so hard to get promoted onto the championship. So I'm so pleased for her. And it just goes to show that hard work, perseverance can really pay off.
And do you think those are the attributes that if you're going into this career path, you've got to, as I say, hardworking, be patient, because it does take a long time. Yeah. It's not something that you're going to go into you're not going to start and then be in the Premier League a year later. It's not going to happen.
No. And it definitely, I would say, enjoy it, because do you know what? It's such a big team ethos. The refereeing family, as we call it, it's such a big team. And without them, it can be a difficult place. But I think you get so many good friends out of it as well. I've got a little football family that, that come to my daughter's birthday parties that, we go out for weekends away with, because we're just a little family, really. You support each other.
And are you excited to have more females in match officiating?
Yeah, because do you know what the main reason that I'm loving it is? Because it means everywhere's going to have female changing rooms.
Which is an which is kind of an unbelievable comment to say.
If there's more of it than just me, it means that they're actually used a lot more.
Yeah. So, all right, that's what we're measuring this against now. When they start getting the female changing rooms, we know there's a massive tick box there. Right, Sian, let's finish up with our final game today. This is just a last opportunity to get some points on the board for you. And the quiz is called, How Well Do You Know Yourself?
Oh, no. I've got such a bad memory. I'm going to be awful at this.
Let's see how we go. It's against the clock again. So we'll do 45 seconds. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Your first appointment as a professional match official came in the final of which competition? It was a women's competition.
FA Cup?
Yes, that's the one. What was the location